Welcome. For this video, I'd like to go over some of our notes for integer operations, specifically the addition and subtraction. Okay, we're going to learn how to deal with the signs, and sometimes it will look like there's two signs in front of a number. And then we'll deal with whether the answer should be positive or negative and how to actually calculate that answer. What I'm going to do is go ahead and get started right in IXL with adding and subtracting integers. All students should have an IXL password. We're looking at topic E3, and that's where students are going to master the adding and subtracting integers. In this one, we have one of our what looks like a double sign there, right in here, minus a negative number. This is one of those situations that we run into where I like to think of negative as opposite. So I see this as the opposite of subtraction. So I would actually rewrite this problem as 4 plus 1, which would help us see that our answer would be 5. Okay. Our next one, negative 4 plus 3. This is a good example where we see opposite signs. So I know that I have a negative with the 4. Notice I look at the sign in front, and this positive is part of the 3. So it's a negative 4 balancing with a positive 3. When you see opposite signs working against each other, what you're looking for is the leftovers after they cancel. So the difference between 4 and 3, once they're going to cancel each other, is going to be 1. And since there was more negatives, it will be a negative 1. This is old school subtraction, but just for a minute, let's look at the how to interpret this in terms of our integers. We would see that this is a positive 4, and I would see it as a negative 2. So what I see is 4 positives balancing out with 2 negatives. So they're going to cancel each other out. Just going to leave me with 2 left over, and there were more positives, so that is a positive 2 answer. Here we have again that double operator sign. So I'm going to circle that. So minus and negative, the opposite of subtraction is addition. Okay, so whether or not I write the rest of the problem down, you see I have a negative 3 balancing out with a positive 3. The next piece, so those two are going to work on canceling each other. Negative 3 versus positive 3, they're going to balance each other exactly out for an answer of 0. Okay, here we have a negative and a negative. So 2 negative numbers. I tend to think really not so much of subtraction, but always of addition when I'm dealing with integers. And I think of this negative as part of the 3. So I have a negative 2 and a negative 3. Since they share the same sign, I get to combine them, which will show up as a 5. So a total of 5. And they were both negative, so it would be a negative 5. And this is the last example that I will do. We'll show adding a negative. Adding a negative is the opposite of addition, so you can rewrite it as subtraction. So you can take those two, and this is the same problem as negative 3 minus 1. Okay. And that may or may not be helpful for you in visualization to visualize, but what you should see is that you have 2 negatives being combined. So this actually relates similar to one of the problems we just did. The 2 negatives combined, so we're going to get a total of 4, all negatives. So I'm looking for an answer of negative 4. Let's go back to our notes for a quick second and see what we've been doing. So looking with double operator signs, writing them as only one sign per term. So if you see adding a negative, that is the same as subtraction. Or if you see subtracting a negative, that is really the same as addition. The negative helping make the operator do the opposite of the operator. Deciding whether the answer is positive or negative, one quick way to say that is that they will always agree with a stronger number, because if they're both positive or both negative, then they're going to combine to make more of that. Whereas if you have one positive and one negative, after they balance each other out, whichever one was stronger the most will be the sign of the leftovers. When you see the signs are the same, so when we had two positives or two negatives, we combined the values to get more positive or more negative. And then if we saw the two signs were different, so when you have a positive working against a negative, they cancel each other, or basically you subtract them and to find a difference, and you're looking for how much is left over. Good luck working with your addition and subtraction integers. This is a major skill that will stick with you through the rest of your math experience.